Okay, kita dah go live. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang kepada semua penonton-penonton yang hadir ke program kami pada hari ini, iaitu program Live Sharing Talk. Dan topiknya The Needs of Industry, How to Embrace the Needs and What Students Should Expect. So sebelum kita memulakan majlis kita sedekarkan Al-Fatihah dekat pada Profesor Madya Dr. Mukzir bin Muhammad Syahimin yang telah meninggal dunia pada hari Khamis yang lepas. Al-Fatihah. Okay, back to the agenda. Okay, so saya Muhammad Uzairi bin Muhammad Yusri, pelajar kejuruteraan mekanikal tahun 2 sebagai moderator untuk program kita hari ini, dan speaker kita adalah IR Dr. Azim bin Abdul Rahman, merupakan Asia Pacific Product Engineering Manager, dan kita ada dua orang tetamu pada hari ini adalah Jacqueline Chen, pelajar kejuruteraan elektrik dan elektronik tahun 3, dan final year student Muhammad Hafizul Hakimi, juga merupakan pelajar kejuruteraan elektrik dan elektronik tahun 4. So, sebelum kita memulakan majlis, saya akan bacakan sedikit pasal biodata speaker kita pada hari ini. Okey, nama yang diberi IR Dr. Abdul Azim Abdul Rahman, merupakan professional engineer yang berdaftar di bawah Board of Engineer Malaysia, yang dengan pengalaman hampir 18 tahun dalam penyelidikan produk, design dan development. Beliau juga berpengalaman dalam designing produk, components, part dan sistem dalam pelbagai industri seperti elektronik, automotive, office furniture and manufacturing system. IR Dr. Azim memulakan kerjanya dengan Shimano Components, Sdn Bhd, designing high-end crankshaft and gear system for bicycle. Beliau kemudiannya bekerja dengan Sony EMCS Malaysia for over 6 years dalam bidang mechanical R&D TV division. Beliau juga merupakan one of the innovators for TV with woofer system. Beliau juga merupakan pioneer group in designing LCD for Sony, dan sekarang ini Dr. Azim bekerja dengan Steelcase Office Solution Sdn Bhd sebagai Product Engineering Manager, leading the team in Asia Pacific for product development of ergonomic seating, life cycle management, orange box and AMQ. Beliau di bawah expatriate assignment in North America, Grand Rapids, design global mid-range shift for mature and emerging market in 2015. Beliau juga berpengalaman dalam bekerja di serata dunia, termasuklah Amerika, Jepun, China, India, France, Italy, Taiwan, Vietnam, Korea, Indonesia, Jerman, Thailand, Hong Kong, Australia, UK, Mexico dan juga Singapura. Beliau memegang 6 patents daripada USA dan Malaysia. IR Dr. Azim graduate daripada Mechanical Engineering, majoring in Automotive from University Teknologi Petronas UTP, dan beliau juga graduate Doctor of Engineering PhD daripada Universiti Putra Malaysia UPM. Beliau juga merupakan member of Mechanical Technical Division, the Institution Engineers Malaysia, dan beliau juga a Malaysia Industry Standards Committee on Plastic and Plastic Product, as well as Technical Committee of Ergonomic at Work. So, second biodata penceramah pada hari ini. So, kita back to agenda. Kita akan memulakan kita punya sesi hari ini dengan bertanya kepada penceramah, kepada speaker tentang soalan yang pertama. So, I ada Dr. Azim. Okay, so the first question, what are the differences between the past and present industrial challenges, and how the industry's response to the effects of COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay.
So that's the question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pada semua pendengar, terutama kepada moderator, terima kasih. You done a good job. Start the conversation. And our guests, Jacqueline and Hafizul. Okay, so I think that semua orang or everybody knows that we are really in the unprecedented time right now, when nobody or no company in the world ever to predict what's going on. When virus started to attack China end of December last year, everybody think it's only happened in China. It's not even affected any other country beside that. But it is becoming a pandemic. And then what impacted Malaysia after 18 March, everything is locked down, right? So you know that. And the same the whole of the world also until now. So there's a lot of challenges for each of the company. And it's very difficult to say that all the companies are having a problem now, because it really depends on the industry itself, or bergantung pada industry itself. Because this is not a crisis like 2008, when it is totally a financial crisis, where most of the company has stopped buying, the business stopped. But this is a pandemic. So most of the company, actually there are a few industries are still booming or still running as normal, like the healthcare, food industry, agro, and also a lot of the logistics. So there's a lot of challenges, even though this company is still running, but there's a lot of companies still not running. There's a lot of challenges, definitely. And one of the biggest challenges among or most of the companies is the communication and also information. Because most of the company, they are, especially the MNC company, they are working globally, or even the GLC company or Malaysian, they're also having suppliers or market outside Malaysia. When every country has a lockdown, the most critical is how we proceed, because even it's a lockdown, most of the companies still working from home. They are running like normal, and most of the workers still running from home, same like our company. My company also, we're running from home. But the most challenges is how to communicate among the team, how to make sure that the operation or the process running, even though the factory is closed, but some of the initiative or some of the project are still running. So that's the most challenges is the communication information. And also how we solve the problem. So there's a problem, a lot of the problems, and nobody is prepared, as simple as the HR, human resource problem. So how to make sure our employee in office in Malaysia or in Asia or in global are really able to work from home. So getting them ready to work from home, getting them to be able to connect to the team members, making sure their welfare is okay, how they able to work or not working. So all the stuff is a challenge, and that's really a challenge. Azari? So just to add a little bit, I don't know whether you want to ask a question, but just to add a little bit also, there's a challenge that normally even every project, especially for engineering, we always easy for us, or it's more effective to have a face-to-face meeting. As I mentioned, one of the challenges to solve the problem. So now with this lockdown, or with this all the working from home, it's really the challenge to travel, no more face-to-face. And even right now, after we open up, the factory is open up now, most of the companies start to working now. We're still having a problem to share the information, as I said, because we cannot travel. So how to make sure that from here, from Malaysia, we are communicating or giving a good instruction in China or India, or even our suppliers in Malaysia, because we cannot just go there, seeing them. So there's a lot of mainly the challenges came from the communication, information sharing, problem solving, as well as the transportation and logistics. Is that it?
Okay. Thank you for the answering the first question. So kita move kepada kita akan bertanyakan soalan yang kedua kepada speaker kita hari ini. Silakan Jacqueline.
Hey Jacqueline.
Hi, good evening. So majority of the companies now have been using artificial intelligence for interviews, for like, because there's like different stages of interviews for us to find jobs as engineer. So normally the first stage it will be for artificial intelligence, so meaning that we're gonna do the interview based on online, which is through computer. How do we prepare ourselves for those kind of interviews? Because we do not know what the AI would be asking us, and what normally companies would look for during those interviews.
Yep, that's a really good question, and a valid, to be honest, it's a valid concern from you guys. And yes, you're right. So even before this pandemic, most of the main company or big company, we already have a AI to filter out the first stage, as you said. Because when you have the online submission of the resume, or even you use any of the website, or even the like LinkedIn or JobStreet or whatever system that you use to submit the CV, the resume, there's always a first system to filter out. And again, that system is not perfect, but I think that because of this pandemic, a lot of the company and even our company try to make it perfect, and mainly in the first stage of the filtering. So this is it's a bit HR secret, but the system is really depending on the three things. One is your result first. I know that is little bit biased, but there are a range how we look in that. And then second is a salary range, and also the third is a job description, and also your degree. So that is the first filter. Okay, and that's common. If that is actually the range is quite big. So I don't think a lot of people has a problem or the student, because of that is normally is a big range. It depends on the company to company. Some company, like really a big company, a picky company, they will really make it that range very constrained. But most of the time it's a big. But after that first one, so even last time before PKP, and now we're doing more, normally the second stage will be the phone interview or the online interview. I think that is becoming a common right now, especially during PKP, because of there are a few reasons. You know that using the online interview or the phone interview, the first thing is we able to review whether the candidate able to speak in really a clear manner. Is it a clarity enough to explain about yourself, about what you're doing? So that is a way that we know that, okay, this candidate is really put an effort, really have a patience, and also understanding what they are looking for. So I think that for phone interview, normally is asking about yourself, what you're doing, and we can go through more details about that. I think that we have a session for that in depth, what's to look for. But to answer your question is, how do you prepare all this stuff, right? So I really encourage you guys, especially for the phone interview and online interview. The most important is to make sure that you have a really a good area to pick up the phone, or if you do the online interview like this one, like the video, the first thing you have to make sure that you prepare. So for phone interview, normally it's a random. You never know when they call you, the HR call you, and they will do a quick checking. But then normally they will set up another time to have a longer interview, little bit longer, either with the department manager or HR itself. So the phone interview is okay the first time, as long as you're able to answer and able to inform properly. If you're not in the good reception area, you should inform them clearly that you are not in the reception area. Don't try to answer if you're not sure, because that really give you a big bad impression that you don't know what they ask and that you answer different thing. So if you don't have a good reception, please inform them that you need time, maybe sometime, what time. That's the most important, clarity. But when you have an interview video like this, the most important, again, you have to make sure that your bandwidth is good so that you can see, and you should be ready like this before the interviewer approached by the video or started the video. That's the most important, okay? And of course, you need to make sure also you understand the job that you try to apply, job description that you to apply, and do more research on the company that you apply. I think that's the first step. I don't know, Huzairi, do you want me to discuss detail on this now, or we have a session on the last one for this one? Or am I answer your question, Jacqueline? Or you have more things to ask? Hey, Jacqueline?
Can you, Jacqueline? Okay, Jay.
I actually have the extension of the question. So, what are the common questions that HR usually ask for a fresh graduate?
Okay. So, okay, if you want to talk more in depth, sure, should be okay. It's not a problem. Okay, I think that it's not, so normally HR, I think that HR, we ask a general question. I mean, the most important, you should at least minimum, fulfill the minimum requirement for the job description. But the most important is, if you have a chance to go the interview with the department manager or the hiring manager, you need to get ready. And there are a few really a main question that you should be ready. And I can list out here a few questions that is really a common for you guys. And I think that mainly this is the question that the fresh grad or people that want to apply to the interview not fully ready. And we can talk about that after this. So and this is common, the first question that they will ask, or the hiring manager will ask you, tell me about yourself, right? That's always question, describe about yourself. So that's the most common question, and that's the first question. So what you should do normally? Normally the candidate will say that, Assalamualaikum, my name is Ahmad or blah blah blah, and then I'm from here, and this is this one. I think that's a good one. You know that right now there's a lot of people or fresh graduated, with this situation also. I think you understand that a lot of people that or the company are closed, and there's a lot of people finding a job also. So in order for you to get the job, right, and also for you to be able to get a chance to be interviewed, there's a lot of steps. But if you are able to get to the interview level, that's almost 75%, to be honest, because there's a lot of the filter from you submit a resume. So how we can talk later about how you make a resume appeal after that resume been reviewed and that resume been selected, then you be called up for the interview. That interview actually is more about and what can you do for the company. So the first question, tell me about yourself, is so important. And the one that I just give an example just now, that is a common answer, which is okay, but that is not really outstanding or really appeal to the interviewer because it's common. Everybody will say the same. If in one day there are 10 candidates coming, ada 10 orang. If you imagine there's 10 orang coming for that the same day interview, and then the same question, tell me about yourself. And if you are the first one, maybe it's okay. But imagine that you are, I mean, sometimes you are just lucky you are number 10. You see that how many 10 people that the interviewer have to listen to the same thing? It will be the same. So how to make yourself appeal actually? It's really, it really needs to be something different. And it really started with a CV. So we can talk more about CV, but I think that it's really started about a CV, how you write a CV, and then how you prepare about telling about yourself. And one of the things that I want to share is, if you want to answer about how to tell yourself, you have to get ready. And one of the things that you have to get ready, I'm not sure whether you have heard there is a one method, we call it STAR. STAR is S stand for situation, T stand for task, your role, A for action, and R for result. So when you explain about yourself, right, instead of saying your name, your how old are you, your age, that's already all inside the resume. And most of the hiring manager, they will get ready. They already read your resume very well, most of them. And especially for the big company, they will do a detail checking, detail reading for the resume. So the most important for you to tell about yourself is, what are the things that you are doing in the university or as a student that graduated. What can you do at least to show yourself different? So for example, so that's why it's interrelated to what you're doing in university. So for example, if you are one of the, for example, like you, Huzairi, you are the president of one of the club, right, or Hakimi. So you can explain, started with that. Assalamualaikum. So I really thank you for selecting me to this interview. I'm one of the in university. One of my main role is as a president of this club. What I did is that normally I organize all the event, and with this event, how the achievement of this event, and that is that's your role, and the action. So what are the event result, or what the event actually? What do you do in that event? So you delegate a job. So you're able to show that this is, you already done something. So that's about yourself, right? So you have to explain about this one. I give another example. So I think that maybe it's a little bit complex. So for example, if let's say you are a leader of the, or you are the one that who do the project, and final project is okay. So tell me about yourself. So what should you do? What should you tell? Okay, you can inform that. So at the end of the final year project, we have a capstone project, which is making one prototype of the car, for example, the electric car. So I'm one of the project team that designed this one, this wiring system, for example. And with that, I learned a lot on this system, which is, you need to understand that you should relate to you what the role or the position that you apply for. So tell me about yourself is tell about you, what you can do, and you can start with a different way. Is it clear, Hakimi? And
Yes,
then
sir. Yes, sir.
there's another question that normally they ask also is why do you want to work here? Right? That's a common question. Why do you want to work here? Even a fresh grad or the experienced one, why do you want to work in this company? So this is another important question that in order for you to answer or in order for you untuk jawab this one, do a lot of the research for that company. This is another simple mistake that the fresh grad or even the experienced engineer that try to move to another company, they did not properly prepare on this one, because asking this question, when you want to answer the question, you should at least know or understand well what is the company doing. For example, if I give a simple, so for example, if you want to go to my company, Staircase Office Solution, if you Google Staircase, you can see that what is the product, what are we doing. And mainly people we do that only that. So they just go there, they say that, okay, oh, they are making a furniture and they're making a seating in Malaysia. But if when you answer the question, so you imagine that three people we answer the same. Oh, your company is doing this one. They are selling they are design a really a unique ergonomic chair, which is a common. It's okay, but it's a common one. It's a normal. So how to make it you outstanding, right? So you that depending on the company, so you have to understand. You should mention different way, like I want to work here because I really embrace this company. This company provide a solution for the office people, and they're able to make the people work more efficient. So see that how the different answer from one candidate to one candidate. So normally the second candidate we try to spot out because of the different the way that they answer is different thing. If I go through, there's a long list of the normal question that we ask, but there's one more that I want to highlight also, so that it's quite important, which is they will ask, or we will ask you, what's made you unique, or why we should hire you. This is another key question, and this is common. They will ask you, why we should hire you? What made you so unique among the others candidate? Or what is your strength? What is your contribution to the company? This is common. So you need to really understand the company, and when you want to explain about what is your strength, what the advice is, you should understand the role that you apply. For example, if you apply the product engineering design for the product, you should answer relate to that role instead of different. If you apply the engineering for manufacturing, you should answer your strength based on that. For example, if you apply for the manufacturing engineer's position, you might answer a different way where what is your strength? So your strength is you really like to see the assembly line, where I think that there's a lot of opportunities that the line can be simplified, or I think that or you for fresh grad you might not have an experience, so you can just say that I really passionate about understanding how the advanced manufacturing could be evolved. I want to learn this one a lot, and this is my passion. So if you apply for the product R&D or design, you might say that, oh, I really have a lot of the influence or idea how to make the product better. So you have to make sure that you relate on that job description. Otherwise, you will be a general. There's no right or wrong answer for all the question, but the best answer is the one that is really fulfill the criteria from the company or the job that you apply for.
Okay, thank you.
Huzairi, you
Mute, mute,
muting.
mute.
Okay, terima kasih sebab di atas long explanation yang extension soalan daripada Hafizul Hakimi. Saya rasa soalan tu jawapan tu sangat-sangat detail. Dan okey, terima kasih. Dan seterusnya uh, Hakimi semula untuk bertanya balik soalan.
Okay, Doctor. Our current situation is we hear that a lot of fresh graduates competing with each other to find a job. So for the current situation, in your opinion, what is the extra skills that students should prepare? For example, a student graduating student should prepare before they enter the industry. So if I would like to know your opinions on that, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that's another thing that good question, and that's a scope on that. If you ask about apa additional skill kan, so kalau you want to know what is the additional skill that required for the undergraduate, and to be honest, from first year until fourth year, if you go through the program properly, you almost complete everything in terms of the minimum requirement to work, right? That's the reason that we have a really a good program in each of the universities in Malaysia and also in overseas. But to answer your question or your concern, what additional skill? So I will say again, it's really depends on what your passion is, because there's no one answer to fulfill everything. So if you, I will give example a little bit on mechanical. That's my specialty. So if you are a mechanical student and mechanical engineering student, so you know that you have. Do you know that how many students at least in Malaysia graduated every year? It's about 60,000, right? If you read through, so I think that you should know this one. Otherwise, you don't know where you are. I think it's about 60,000 in 2019 or 18, if I'm not mistaken. 60,000. From that 60,000 student, there are about 30% is from engineering graduate. So 30,000 from 60,000, I think it's about 18,000. So you are competing about 60,000, but of course, within the 18,000, there are like another small branch, mechanical, electrical, civil, special if you have electronic, automotive, petroleum. There's a lot of a branch of engineering, right? But again, there are a few that overlap also. So you have to understand that also, like mechanical and civil is for certain structural, it could be both, electrical, electronic also. So how to compete, right? What is the basic skill additional? Of course, if there is if we're talking about the normal situation, beside or without the COVID, there's a lot of things I think that normally you do in university, right? You have a club, you have, if you are really an active student, you join the, even the student chapter IEM or your STEM, so that you can join a lot of activities. That is a skill that you can gain. But if you're considering about now the COVID and even not COVID, what is the extra skill? So to me, there are two set of skills. One is a hard skill, one is a soft skill, right? So the hard skill is the one that you learn from university now. And in fact, the additional that I want to suggest, you should understand as much as software as you can. And this is one of the studies from Dell company, Dell Global, and in fact some of the American company, in fact some study in 2030. I'm not sure the impact of the COVID because we haven't gone through that detail yet. But before COVID in 2030, there's a prediction about 85% of the job is not exist now in this moment. It's only exists in that 2030 above, about 85%. And you can see also from 1960 and 2000, there's a lot of the job evolution, right? And it's so difficult to say that, okay, this is the skill that you have. You need to sustain. It's evolved. And you have to keep up to date your reading, you have to involve with all the a club or organization, try to understand what's going on in the industry. Like now we have a industrial revolution 4.0. So we can talk more about that later if you want to know more. But just to answer your question for this one, what additional skill? So the hard skill, I think the best is you try to gain the basic hard skill or basic skill in terms of the what you do best. For example, if mechanical, one of the I think additional skill you should learn is about software, right? Software means that you have to learn about tools. So to me, hard skill is a tools. So the tools that helping you to work better in future, one of it is a lot of things is a software. Software can be evolved also, I know, but the concept of using the software is really important because software itself is a tool like you play a PlayStation, right? So you have a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a different version, but the concept is the same. The game is the same. You have to do a structure for mechanical structure. You have to do the finite element analysis. You have to do the analysis on the CFD. So that concept is really close. It's not different. And what you need to do is upgrade yourself with the software learning. Second is, I think this is general. I really encourage on the hard skill, which is the software mastery, or the Microsoft, the PowerPoint, the Excel, the Word, because I've seen this one even 18 years of my experience or even before that, this is still using until now and it's evolved becoming really advanced. For example, Excel. Excel can make even a program. So some of our design, we use Excel to generate the calculation also. So there's a lot of things evolve, I know, but the concept of using that you should have. That's a hard skill. Tools, software, and also basic software, that's important. For the soft skill, I really encourage you to learn more about communication. When I say communication it's not only communication like normal talk like this, or you present, so that I think that's becoming a common now. You have to present in the university. I think that maybe 10 years ago it's not really pushed for that skill, but now we push hard for the skill presentation, how you explain your project. But the additional part is how to communicate in effective way. So I think this is, you have a chance when you do a group project. So effective way means that when you do a project and try to get the solution or idea, there will be an argument between 5 people, right? So how to make sure that the communication effective? The communication effective doesn't mean that when you say your idea, Hakimi, people accept, then it's effective. Doesn't mean that way. Communication effective is even though your idea been accepted or not accepted, as long as the project is running, as long as all the people can work together, as long as you can work as a team, that is an effective communication. Means that it's not only about you, it's about the whole team working together. You need to learn, but there's no one way to learn the effective communication. But I think that you can learn throughout your experience doing a project with a team, as well as getting some courses. I think the other skill also you should have a lot of the general knowledge, reading. I mean, general knowledge about anything. So if you are going for electrical engineering, you should be keep up to date with what going on with your that industry line, because that's helping you for interview also. So I think that's a key, soft skill, hard skill, and also doing more what you can do in this period.
Okay, terima kasih Tuan Speaker. So kita ada soalan spontan daripada kita punya audience. So sementara kita sama jawab soalan prepared question, so kita jawab soalan spontan daripada penonton. So soalannya, dalam keadaan sekarang yang susah nak dapat pekerjaan, adakah students perlu terima sahaja kerja yang mungkin beliau tidak berminat atau keep on applying sehingga dapat yang betul-betul minat? Okay, Tuan Speaker.
Okay, that's a tough question because nobody will know the answer, but I try my best. So I think that we need to understand, I think that I mentioned in the earlier, this current situation is very hard. Yes, it's very hard. And most of the company impacted. Yes, the most company impacted. Government impacted. Yes, government impacted. Everybody, right? Education, everybody. But with all this impacted, there are, as I mentioned, there are a few industry or a few line are booming. So again, we have to see in the different way. I know that, so we all of us is engineer, so I assume that most of us that join here is from engineering background, or you want to be engineer, or even non-engineering also, it doesn't matter. But I think that as a student or as a people right now, and it's hard situation, we understand, but I think we have to adapt and try to see what we can do in this situation. So for example, there are a few examples that I've seen my friends, and also what we're talking among the organization. There are a few still booming. For example, the healthcare, the logistic. You know that like courier service, FedEx, DHL, they're really booming. They need more workers. They need more system. Definitely, there's an engineering requirement on that company also for the system, everything. So to answer the question, there's two things that we can look into. One is, of course, everybody has a passion and dream what want to be, right? But with this unprecedented time, I think that we should try to take a look whether what else we can do. And in fact, for example, if you have a dream to be a good engineering, right? It's not only one line. For example, I know that some people really want to be in the line of energy, in the line of oil and gas, or in the line of manufacturing. But at this time, the most important is try to get as much as experience. In that say that you should have you should generalize your condition. The good thing is, if you are taking a course, general course, for example, like mechanical or even electrical, you can go everywhere, right? You know, right? So in mechanical, that's everywhere, almost everywhere need a mechanical, even the maintenance or the product design or energy or oil and gas, or even logistic, even in agriculture, even in the food industry. That's need a machine, and the machine need an engineer. So there's always has opportunities. So I think there's one side that we should be adaptive. We should try to take a look at different opportunity, because we are not in the same situation anymore. And I don't think that anybody in the world able to predict what's going on. And in fact, if you read through a lot of the company already restructure. For example, in fact, even our company also, we reduce the numbers of the dealers to sell in the showroom, because we are doing more on the different way, like online, or we are doing a different way, approaching the customer, no more like the stores. Even some of the big company in the world, they also start to close the retail shop, they are going more on the online. So that's always the evolution of the company itself. So we have to be cope to the evolution. So my advice in one scenario is we should be adaptive. We should take a look what is opportunity out there. For engineering, I still believe there's a lot of opportunities out there, but it might be a different than what we thought, that what we want in our life. But we have to be adaptive. So we should take the opportunity, right? On the other side also, of course, if you don't have your line of the study at this time, probably really low. So I know that some of the industry, some of the courses that ongoing right now might have a challenge because of either the industry is really slowing down or even dismissed or nothing at all. Some of the industry like really spread out like nothing. If we have that scenario or that situation, I suggest that we should take a look a different approach, and I don't think that area can come back again. But the opportunity is always there. I believe that we should not stick to only what we know, what we want to be. We should think about macam mana how we can survive, right? So now if you read any articles, it's about the survival now. One thing, how we adapt and survive. The second thing is how to be as general as possible. Even you take the specialized course, you should make yourself general so that you can suit to a different opportunities.
Okay, terima kasih Tuan Speaker atas penjelasan yang saya rasa amat detail. Saya harapkan kepada yang bertanya soalan tadi clear tentang isu semasa yang kita tengah hadapi sekarang. Dan baik to agenda, we move to our next question, which will be asked by our guest Jacqueline Chen.
Okay, thank you, Huzairi. First of all, I would like to apologize to the speaker for not answering your question earlier because I was having some problem with my internet, so I wasn't actually like the line wasn't good for me, so I didn't hear what was your question earlier. That's why I didn't answer you, so I apologize deeply for that. So my next question is that for a student who wants to pursue masters like postgraduate or PhD after undergrad, do you think it's better for them to go to work first, like industry work, to gain experience to ensure that they know what they want to do in their masters or in their PhD in a way? Because like I've seen like so many people regretting doing their postgraduate, but it's actually not something that they wanted to do just because they didn't experience work life first, and then they just went on directly to postgraduate after undergraduate. So what is your thoughts on that, Dr. Akzin?
Thank you, Jacqueline. No, it's no problem just now. I think that Huzairi already answered on behalf of you. So it should be okay. Okay, so for that question, yeah, it's a bit tricky question to me because of, to me, both ways as a pro and cons. Okay, again, it's really up to you or based on what you want to do, actually. But so if you ask me, and it's really depends on what you want to do, because if you take engineering, for example, if you want to do, if you are after you graduated from undergrad, and if you know what you want to do, for example, you really focus on one thing to research. I mean, for example, if you are electronic, right? So if you really doing some in your undergraduate, you doing some project close to energy, for example, or solar panel, or even anything about control. So if you really knows what you want to do and what needs to be needed, because your undergraduate is only this small, and you have a lot of ideas to make it one, it is okay for you to just continue for postgraduate, master, and PhD after that. And that's because you know what you want to do, right? It's really about you. But of course, if you are like unsure, or you, of course, you are engineering student and you are unsure, and you want to know what's going on, and you join to work, right? And of course, it depends on what kind of work you get and what company, what industry that you think. There's always opportunity after that you're working to continue the study, even the master or PhD. And in fact, if you know, or you get you get the job that what in line with what you're thinking, or what your passion, it's much easier for you to see the opportunity for certain problem or issue in the office or industry or in your job that you can extend for master or PhD. So again, to answer your question, I think that there's always a pro and cons between both. And it's really, again, you as a student, you need to understand. So now you're third year, right? So my advice,
Yes.
if you are unsure, you want to do a postgraduate, or you want to work first, I think this is the best chance for you in the third year to do a lot of research. What is your passion? Is the most important is your passion. What you want to do in your life? What you want to contribute? So if you know, and you need to ask people also. You have lecturers that can help you, but if you want to know more about the industry, I think that you have a student chapter or EM. You can join the IEM, or you can talk to any industry people that you know. And I'm more than happy if you want to email me after this, to understand more about opportunities. I think that the most important is you have to talk to people, you have to talk to the expert, you have to talk to the right people, so that you can understand, or you can be exposed what is the line, or what are the things that out there. Because without that, I mean, that's the reason that sometimes it's really hard to have whether this way or this way, right? Whether that way or this way. So it's really come back to your own and your plan, but you have to be exposed. Am I answer your question, Jacqueline?
No, thank you.
Okay. Terima kasih kepada tuan speaker, dan juga merupakan detailed explanation. Okay, dan seterusnya kita move kepada next soalan yang akan ditanya oleh Hafizul Hakimi.
Soalan yang saya nak tanya ni, actually ada one of our audience bawa benda ni naik, dan dia tally dengan apa yang saya nak tanya. Macam apa yang berkaitan dengan benda ni, berkaitan dengan CGPA. Is our result the most essential thing for us to get a job interview? And if yes, how about the low scorers? How are they going to survive? How are they going to secure the job later?
Okay. so so this is a common question for every student, and I understand, because I was a student before, but again, I think that I really want to make sure that the student understand that why you study, right? Why in the first place you go to the universities, or even, I mean, you go to the primary, secondary, and then college, universities, or undergrad, postgrad, or PhD. Yeah, but it's a learning process, right? I think that the main is to get the knowledge, right? To get the knowledge, and you learn about how to be a people, and you know, you learn about how to fulfill some of the requirement. So at the end, if you go to the some of the your major, like electrical or engineering or mechanical or civil, or even a doctor or a accountant, so you are learning to do a minimum, or to understand that industry or that role in academic way and in theory. In the It's just a qualification, but at the end you have to go through the job, you have to perform, and but with all the human principle, integrity, honest, amanah. I mean, it is a good principle, the core values, right? So to answer that really a centric student question, because of some of you, I know some is really, some medium, some low, right? And of course, there's a lot of reason why it low, why it high, why it medium. This is never ending argument, why we have a low, why we have a high, why we have a medium. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have a dream, you have to pursue the dream, and you have to make sure that you have a minimum requirement. For example, right, if you want to work in the big company, a major MNC company, as I mentioned last time, we have a minimum CGPA. That's what HR seen. I mean, it's not even go through the hiring manager or department, and that is because of it's a general rules that, okay, with this certain level of education, they should be able to perform the task. And I know that some percentage on this low achiever also, they have a really a good or able to perform the better job sometime, right? That's for sure. But that's how we have like a 10,000 people, how to evaluate that, right? So in order for you, I mean, if you are in that minimum, maybe you're okay, you're not so worried, right? But if you are in the low CGPA, or how you want to pursue, the advice is you have to take a look in the different angle opportunities compared to the one that has a high or medium pointer. Of course, I pray for all of you, and you should not get low, to be honest. You should learn very hard to get high, so that you get a minimum, at least a minimum, the minimum of the mark, so that you can have a lot of opportunities, right? But of course, if you have, or you are in this a group, what you can do is you should be more open up. You should not think that it's a straight way for you compared to the 3.5 or 3 pointer, because they have a more company can accept easily. What I say is that you should be more creative and more open up. And what you should do is you should take a look, even a SME or small company, or any of the opportunities to gain experience. That's the one of the best way. You have to gain experience, because after 5 to 10 years, your experience is more valuable. And sometimes your experience, if you are lucky, you know where you are, or where you are going, you're able to get into the good, even a small company, but your job is really make you a good machine design, for example, or the machine operator, or anything in the platform or what. Then you have a chance to go to a different route or different area based on your experience. But just after graduated, the scope is quite limited. That's what is in reality. But you have to be creative, and you have to see what the opportunities. There's still a lot of opportunities, trust me. But your path might not be the same as the 3 pointer above or 3.5. That's for sure. but the end goal is about the same. Is the same. When you work, it's a different environment. How you proceed your career, how you continue your long life learning, your development, it will be the same after you get a job. So the most critical now after graduated and get the job or correct job or job that you dream, then development back to 0 0. Even you are 3.99 or 2.5, after you get the job, your career path, it will be a different way. You have to be a creative. You have to have a different culture of working, no more a student. So, but the path to get to the different level will be the difference between this group and this group. Huzairi, you mute.
Unmute.
Okey, terima kasih atas penjelasan yang amat jelas daripada Tuan Speaker. Dan seterusnya, saya pun ada soalan sebagai moderator. So soalannya, how can students know the methods and industrial workforce if there's no industrial training, and what is software that the student must have as a fresh graduate?
Okay. Okay. A lot of a debate right now because this hard situation, most of the company will not be able to pick up the internship, but some of the companies still able to do that. And I think for us, we try hard to remain some of the internship because I think that is a really important to us. It's really important, and to me, it's really important for the student to get exposed, right? And if there is no chance to go for internship, I think there are a few ways we can do. Again, we have to be adaptive, be creative. So one of the ways is you have to, right now, all the knowledge is by your fingertips, right? I think that you have to do a lot of readings, see the YouTube, the process. You have to, because your end goal is to get a job, right? So internship is one of the exposure for you to get a job, whatever it is. If you want to be in manufacturing, you should know some of the system in the manufacturing. So that's your goal, and the internship is just a transit for you to learn, to get exposed before you go to that. Because with the internship, normally you'll be able to answer the interview, or you can put in the resume that you are in this internship company, this is what you are doing. So that is a value thing so that the interviewer can see or the company can see, as well as you be able to answer or expose, right? But if that situation not happen now, I'm not sure until when, but I know some companies started to take back the internship. And I know that this coming August is the internship season, which is we debate whether we need to take or not. So there's August is an internship season, right, for the student. If you cannot go for internship, what I advise is you should plan properly, organize. So if you are really into manufacturing, you should organize properly the learning on that manufacturing. Either you can take a look from YouTube, or you can take the online course, or you should plan, or I mean, you always can talk to your universities, your friends, plan for a visit to the company. That's the only way that I'm pretty sure after end of August, if we are really in the good situation for the COVID, we might open back. In fact, I think right now also some of the company is willing to accept the visit, but you have to follow the SOP, of course, for the social distancing. But I think there's a lot of ideas. Actually, I'm in the media also try to make proposal for my company, and also for some of the organization, how we can help the student internship right now. And one of the ways is probably to have like a short a few days in a week for visit and understand the job description for each of the function in the company, depending on your industry or your courses, right? But I think before that happen, I think you should take your own initiative to do a research. Uh, if there is an online training or online subscription, online how say online seminar or workshop, I think you should attend that. That's probably the best that you guys can do at this moment, instead of going to the company, because of some of the companies still not open yet.
Amir.
Okay.
Amir.
Terima kasih Tuan Speaker. Terima kasih Tuan Speaker atas penjelasan yang mana melibatkan isu semasa di dalam negara dan worldwide yang mana tentang industri, latihan industri. So, kita akan beralih kepada next question yang akan disampaikan oleh Jacqueline Chen. Dipersilakan Jacqueline.
Okay. So commonly in interviews, they always ask us like, what is our strong point? What is our weakness point? Like how do we tackle the question when the interview asks us, like, what is our weakness? Like, what are we supposed to say? Because I feel like during interviews, we shouldn't I don't even know how to answer that question whenever an interviewer asks me what's my weakness. So how do we tackle that problem? One of our audience is also asking the same question. She said that that she thinks that it is not appropriate to state our weakness, as the interviewer may have a bad impression about us. So I agree with the audience, because I feel like that's a really tough question for a person to answer. So how are we supposed to tackle that question?
Sure. Yep, you're right. I mean, that's a human nature, right? Nobody want to say that what is their weakness, and everybody is afraid that their weakness might not be able to get he or she to that job, right? But let me explain a little bit. So if we
Yeah.
so and that's a common question. Yes, that you're right. When we have an interview, we will ask the same: what is your strength? What is your weakness? Right? And everybody is easy to inform. Oh, my strength is blah blah blah. Or what is my strength? It's really easy. When we ask about the weakness, and people will say that it will be like an awkward silence for a while, right? Correct? Is that? I think that yeah,
Yes.
you agree with that. So this is actually behind why we ask that question. And I want to share what my experience interviewing people around the globe, compared to Malaysia, China, India, or even in Europe or US. So I think of course, for Asia, I mean, we are really we really good. I mean, in terms of the intelligence, I don't see any difference between Asia and other rest of the world, right? But of course, for Asia, we have a little bit insight that we want to keep. We are not really open up. It's difficult to open up.
Yes.
If you ask people in North America about their weakness, they will say that my weakness is I don't really want to do all the database. I like to do a design. So they're really frank. I like to do a design. I can do all the engineering stuff. I can calculate. I can do FEAs. I can do any software, but I'm not into the database or putting things on paper and then like an admin job. So they're quite frank. But there's a pro and cons, right? Anyway, to answer your question is, if there is that question actually is just to understand whether you are really knows what's going on with you and how you want to express it. We are not asking you, or you should not say that, I'm a lazy, I cannot wake up at the morning at 6 p.m. a.m. for example. that's, you're not supposed to say that. I mean, definitely. I mean, that's represent
Yeah.
of you, and that is not you also. I mean, that can be improvised, right? Correct?
Yes.
Things that condition you can improvise. Things that you can improvise, you should not, and you should not, the weakness is not means for your habit. So that is your habit. So we are not asking for habit because every people has a unique. As so we are not supposed to touch the uniqueness of the people, the habit, the culture. So every culture has a different belief. Every faith has a different belief. So that's not the one that we're looking for. What we're looking for about the weakness is, in order for you to admit something. So we actually just try to understand whether you're able to admit something. It's difficult, but that is one of the quality that we're looking for, whether you can admit things that is difficult for you. But we are not asking that you to say that, oh, you cannot do this one, because that one you can learn. For example, you should not say that, oh, I didn't know Excel because I didn't learn yet. No, that's no need to inform, because you will learn throughout your working. And in fact, you know a basic already, right? We are not looking for the perfection, because that's along the way you will learn. And you should not also say that, oh, I cannot, I didn't know how to calculate, for example, the engineering beam or structure. That one you can learn, or you can refer to the book. What we're looking, for example, is the weakness is, you say that you might take some time to learn things, especially for the advanced one, because you are fresh grad, but you are really willing to learn as soon as you start to work, and you really put a lot of effort onto the task. So you should say, you should admit that you have a lot of things you didn't know, because you're still fresh. I mean, but you should be able to catch up back. Or what you can see about your weakness is, you know well some of the theory because you are a student. You might not know how to, I mean, hands-on some of the tools. For example, this is example, but you see that that's what you are working right now. You try to understand that thing, and that's what you want to work, because you want to get exposed more about that. It's more about how you want to say and also admit something, and but you can counter that back. That's what we're looking for. It's not like asking you to downgrade yourself. Is it clear, Jacqueline, or you need more example?
Yes. Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, terima kasih Tuan Speaker. So we move to the next question, which will be delivered by Visual Academy. Please present.
Okay, Doktor, saya nak tanya, what is the industry sector yang kita kena look forward to, yang tengah macam, yang tengah top lah untuk sekarang and for the future?
Okay. Is I think that I touched that little bit before this, right? What are the sector that still booming during this time? Definitely is a healthcare, food industry that will not go away anyway. Medicine, even agriculture. I think that right now there's if you see in advanced country, agriculture is a part of engineering, really a core engineering job also. But if you ask, okay, now we almost done PKPP, right? And then we are moving toward the recovery, and probably with God's will, Allah's will, we will. There's no more this virus, right? Still, that I think that most of the company will not be the same, right? In fact, our company, we embrace new things right now. Some of the job is becoming less, some of the job becoming more, some of the job is just created. There's no that job before. For example, just a data analyst, because of before this, everything is manual because of people in the production. Now everything is IoT. So if you see the IR 4.0 is all about the big data, about IoT, about simulation, cloud, autonomous, advanced robotic, additive manufacturing. It's all involved with the data. So in fact, there's a few engineers position that we just created just to analyze the data in terms of the quality, in terms of the reliability of the product, in terms of the how to give a prediction to the customer. For example, we have a new product that launched, and before this, we having people that just go to the market to see how it doing, how the user feedback. But now, to do that, yeah, it's still okay. We will do that, but due to we have a lot of the new AI, new system now. In fact, we be able to predict what's going to happen to the market in terms of the quality issues, in terms of the reliability, safety issues, if there is a broken or a malfunction in the market. So that kind of job is created. So when you ask that question, what is the industry that we're looking for? I think that in general, engineering still relevant. You should not worry, engineering is still relevant, but within the engineering, what are the things that you have to focus? And again, I said that at this moment, what we know is in these 5 years at least or 10 years at least, which is, I mean, nobody can predict. Be a general thinking or general courses is the best, because if you try to be a specialized or be in one of them, if you are taking like a specialization, if we have if you have do a lot of research so that you think that that still exists, you should follow the what IR 4.0. That's my advice. That where we move forward for the industry. If you want to do a specialization, but still, due to this COVID, I don't know how fast every country can catch up this IR 4.0. I know that most of the country already embraced that, advanced country, but I think for the undergrad that you, especially in Malaysia, we still have a limited opportunity or constraint, as you know. So be a general. I think that you have a more option or more opportunities to go through different job opportunity instead of the specialization at this moment. Maybe it could change after next year. But still, if you want to have a long-term plan, I really advise you to go through in depth the IR 4.0. What can you be done, or what can you involve? Because you are an electrical electronic, and I think there's a lot of things going on for IR 4.0 for electrical electronic. As example, there is a sensor, so autonomous or advanced robotic that need a lot of new sensors. There's a additive manufacturing that dealing with a lot of 3D printing. I don't if you know 3D printer, there's a lot of system, right, that we are using now. In fact, current 3D printing now, we can use that component as a supply chain, or we can use that as a spare part. It's no more that keeping the inventory. So we can just, there's a problem, we can just go 3D printer and then develop the product and then change to any of the components. So that's really advanced right now in that sense. So yeah, I think if you really want to predict, if you want to make your plan, look into the Industrial Revolution 4.0, that area.
Okay, terima kasih kepada Tuan Speaker di atas penjelasan kepada soalan Hakimi. Dan seterusnya, sebelum saya tak sambung bertanyakan soalan, saya ingin mengawalkan kepada penonton jika ada soalan lagi, boleh komen dekat live sekarang dan kita akan try untuk menjadikan sesi soal jawab tersebut. Okay, so soalan daripada saya, Doktor. So, what are the differences between working in government and private sectors? And does and do they have any offer during working
You mean during now situation? Is there any offer?
situation during current situation?
Okay, so I think that this is really a general question. What is the difference? You said that what is the difference working in government or private sector? And to be honest, if you look at the overall job scope and also overall problem, it's the same. I mean, it's still a work. It's a comparable issues. The only difference is because of one is really at the executor, like the private sector, doing a lot of the executor because they are the one who do the details job, but government is doing the big job. And it depends on where you in government also. It's very difficult to answer inaccurate because of different where you work in governments. For example, if ministry, agencies, or the executor like the military or police or the uniform body, and within a different level of the working also, you have a different job scope and also roles, right? And as I mentioned, it's really comparable to private sector. It depends on where you are in the company. You have a different role, and at the end, it's comparable. I mean, the CEO of the company or the engineers in the company and engineers in the private sector it's a comparable issue. So, for example, if the engineers in governments, they have to mainly, if I talk about JKR, they have to do all the tenders, and they are the one who reviewed all the project, and the project is done by the private sector. But at the end, the discussion, the job, the headache is the same. To me, there's no different. The only difference is the company. You have to make sure you understand the company. The private sector is really fast-paced environment. It has to be adapt to every different environment evolution. In fact, to sustain the company, it will change time to time. Like my company has a 4-time change already in terms of the business, in terms of the work, in terms of the things that we have to move forward. There's a lot of difference. And if you work in the MNC company, private sector, they are not, for example, in Malaysia, there's a lot of MNC company from overseas. This is not their home ground, right? So it's all about business. At the end, private sector is all about profit and business. Even though most of the company MNC, they are doing a lot of the people, they are make sure that the people is the first priority. But at the end, the private sector is all about profit. It's all about, if you don't have a profit, how can you generate the people wealth or people welfare, right? So that's the main difference. Because the government, I think, I mean, it's a country, it's a govern the country, have a big scope. No matter how they have to govern the people, no matter how they have to make sure that people in a good condition, in a good state, because that's what they are, the government. So even you work in the ministry or agency, I mean, this is only in general statement, my opinion, but is really try to make sure that the people in the place, even though, but the evolution will be take some time, more times, because of it. It has to make sure that all the people's ready. The private sector, no matter how, they have to change. People ready or not, they have to change. Otherwise, they are not able to survive, or they are not able to live in the different environment. For example, Steelcase company is already 107 years old. It's very long, from 1912 until to 2020 now, about 108 right now, 108 years. So it has to change, and it already went to a lot of changes, especially in terms of the product, in terms of the technologies, in terms of the people, in terms of the skills, in terms of the job description, job scope. So that's really a main difference. The company has to evolve depending on what the era, what the situation to cope with the right business model. So the government will be cope also because they are the one who make sure the people in place, but the people is the main priority.
Okey, terima kasih Tuan Speaker atas soalan yang atas penjelasan kepada perbezaan antara kerja swasta dan government. Dan di sini dekat live ni lagi I think this one is the one general question tu because he asked apakah software yang paling perlu dikuasai oleh seseorang fresh graduate, contohnya SolidWorks, Fusion 360 and AutoCAD. But I think this question is refers to the engineering students.
Okay. So maybe related to mechanical, right? I think. Okay. I think I stated a little bit before about this one. To me, the student has to understand all the software is a tools, right? It's a tools. So the most important is the foundation, how to design, how to create a 3D, how to visualize a 3D. So when you do a SolidWorks, when you do the AutoCAD, when you do the Creo, when you do the CATIA, what are you doing? You're doing a 3D modeling, right? 3D modeling. And that 3D modeling is to visualize your design to be able to make it a complete design and then develop it as a product, right? So yes, if you ask me right now, what is the general software that most of the general company using? There are four main, and it is split between the industry and also between the product. So it has a SolidWorks, it has a CATIA, Creo. Creo is a PTC or Pro E, and also the AutoCAD. But I think mainly right now, SolidWorks and also the CATIA is a common. Creo is the one that really high level company that using more accurate, more parametric. But again, I want to make sure that the student understand that this is the tools. Like if you want to play a game, right? I always talk to my engineers the same too. So when you have the same game, the soccer game or the rally racing car or F1 car, but you are playing in the Nintendo or Wii, or you play in the Xbox, in the PlayStation, the concept is the same, right? It's just a different tools because of different tools they're using, either PlayStation or Xbox. I want to make sure that you guys should take the concept. How to develop the 3D is the most important. What is the main thing for to develop the good 3D modeling, and how you want to evaluate the modeling, what need to be considered inside the modeling, how that modeling can be used for the simulation, and also develop the tool after that. That is the most important concept.
Okey, terima kasih Tuan Speaker. So sekarang ni tak ada soalan live lagi. So I think we can move to the next part, which is we will show some of the best CVs and resumes given by so I think we can share the screen. Can we?
Yep.
Sorry. Okay. Okay.
So Huzairi, probably you can ask Kimi or Jacqueline if there is a question on this one. Otherwise, we can go through some of the best example.
Okay. maybe Hafizul and Jacken, do you guys have some questions towards this towards this slot?
I actually
How
have a
you
question.
communicate?
Oh, the question must be related to resume or the previous topic. It's okay, yeah.
Anything?
How is
Okay.
how important is language in applying any jobs? Is language is a crucial thing instead of the engineering knowledge itself? So is English already sufficient, or it is very essential for us to learn another language? So because this is a bit controversial among the younger generations, our generations, in our social media, we can see many arguments are based on this uh, issue. So maybe we could hear some of your thoughts.
Sure, and that's a good concern or good discussion among yourself, and it's a good raised question also. Um, there's a lot of the thought behind that, and there's a lot of discussion also within that topic, right? In fact, I think that if you go through a lot of the discussion among um, our Malaysian government, whether the school need to be Malaysia English, or some Chinese school or Indian school. So that's I think that there's always no end of that discussion because of it's evolved every day. But I think before I go to answer your question, I think I want to state here the most important is the communication. The language is the second. The most is the communication, right? What is the communication? It means that how you explain, how you communicate with people. Of course, then you have to, then you ask in which, correct, right? So the communication is very important. But of course, your question is what language, sir? I mean, you need to know.
Yes.
Yep. You have any question? You have any things, Akimi, before I proceed?
No. Proceed.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what? Yeah. What in reality? So this is the reality. In reality, right now, if you want to work, if you want to work in the MNC company, even the GIC, even any company right now, English is still we have to master it. I mean, that's at this moment it's so difficult to neglect, and we should not also, and we should embrace that also. English is the one that has been communicated in the company in the corporate level. If you are not able to speak or to explain, we are not looking, or I'm not saying that, or looking that you have to understand the literature of English. You have to be like a sastrawan of English. No, you just need to make sure that you're able to communicate in English to make people understand your idea, your thought, and what you are doing. So even as an engineer, when you want to explain your ideas, you have to know how to explain it, right? And the way that you explain that, or cara nak explain, it needs to be in a really good form of communication and language. Of course, language. And at this moment, most of the company, I can say that most of the company is English. And I think that you heard from some of our higher level people say that the English should be the main. We need to put the English, and it's true at this moment because that's what we do, and that's what we did also in between. For example, if we have team in India or China or even Malaysia to Malaysia with the different suppliers. And you know that our suppliers in Malaysia also not only Malaysian, there's from Japan, from Korea, Taiwan, everywhere in the world in Malaysia. They have their own language. We have our own language. What should be the language that we supposed to communicate to discuss the project or issues? It's still English, right? It's still English. It's so difficult to run at this moment, and I think that to answer your question is the language is really important, and one of the main important is English for working. Of course, you should not neglect the Bahasa Melayu. It's still you have to use if you work in the public sector. You still have to use that. Even the private sector, you have to use the Bahasa Melayu also. As if you are doing the if you are leading or you are working with the local operators or the people, you still have to be in good Bahasa Melayu because you have to explain clearly what the project is, right? But in your level, you guys level, because you are becoming the executive engineers, if you want to explain to the different level or different engineering team in outside, you still have to English. And if you ask me again, then after English, is there any additional that is good for us right now for work? Yes, of course. There's a lot of the second language that you should, if you have a skill to learn, it'd be good. But of course, it's not compulsory, but it's good to have. One of it is a Mandarin. I mean, that is the reality also. If you know Mandarin, you know English. I mean, of course, you know first English, you know Mandarin, you know Bahasa Melayu. You complete to work everywhere. I mean, you can communicate everywhere, almost everywhere, everywhere in the world. If you have that two big language. But again, the most important is effective communication. And at this moment, English is very important. No matter how, if you ask me what should you do now during the PKP, if you don't have anything to do, read a lot in English, read a lot in Bahasa also, so that you know how to construct the word better. If you have a chance to go to the online training or online a workshop or seminar, or even the online or any of the training, take English also if you want to improvise your English.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Tuan Speaker, untuk penjelasan mengenai soalan daripada Hafizul Hakimi. So I think we should move to the next slot, which is CV. Jacqueline, do you have any questions to ask before?
No, I think we have covered
Okay.
most of the questions.
Yeah. So we will move to next slot, which is I will share the screen. What's on my screen? Wait. Okay. Okay. Here, as you can see, one of examples of the best resume and CV. So I give Advertising to brief more about the CV.
Okay. Yeah, actually, this is expert in HR. But anyway, I can give my thought because we work together with HR to hire people, and I think that it's a good to share to all of you what are the things that we always looking for and how to improve, especially the CV, because CV is the most important before you can go to interview. Everybody knows that, right? So CV is the front to show yourself or to represent you. When you want to apply the job, CV the first one that we try to understand who you are, and then from the CV, we are going for interview and then hiring, right? So I want to just sharing quickly about CV. I mean, you can Google this one to understand more because it's always out there. But I think I want to go through a little bit. So there are three types of CV. If you not realize that, when you want to write a good CV, there's a three type of CV depending on what company you want to apply, what a job, what field, right? What field and what industry also. There's a 3 different type of CVs. One is a chronology. Chronology means that you have to write the CVs based on chronological. Means your name, your education background, your personal background, education background, and then your result, and then what is your experience. The second type of CV is a functional CV. So functional means that in that CV we push more on what you have done, so that we can see what experience you have. Even though you are fresh graduate, there's still something that you can show up front. What about you, right? And the third one is a combine. So either one is okay. I mean, for me, I don't see any issue for either one. But of course, I think that you have to go through in-depth reading about this one, because some of the company really want to have the first one and second one, and some is third one. But I think in general, I think that it's okay, everything. The most important for the CV is you have to, I want to point out a few things in the CV. Hosari, can you scroll a little bit down? So if you see this format, so this is like a combine. Okay, it's okay. I think that this is good. This is what we call it's a like a combine where, okay, stop. It's a combine where you can see you have to put all the photos. That one is a format. So format, you should follow whatever latest format. You should be able to Google. You should be able to go to JobStreet or whatever. Okay, that one is a format. But what the content that really critical is, first of all, is about me. So most of the HR and even me, we will read about me. So that about me, you should make sure that you have briefly explain about what you want to pursue, right? And the best is you have to write about me is really related to the job that you want to apply. So there are a few examples. Maybe Huzairi can share with you guys later by email or what. But there are a few examples. If you see this one, she explained about the job that she want to, about the career. Mainly it's about the career, which is more on the HR and also leadership. So that's very critical. You have to go through a lot of the reading how to do this one, and also you have to point out what are your strengths and also your career path that you want to pursue. The second very critical is, can you scroll to the second example, Huzairi? It's a more on engineering. I want to show the engineering one. Yep. Okay. So go down a little bit. So can you scroll a little bit down? Okay. So this is what we call it a functional one, because because we so the candidate, they put their experience first. Experience. This is the fresh graduate. This is not the experienced engineer. So what you should put is what have you done in universities in terms of the experience. So for example, if you see this one, so he put the woman competition and he put a detail what he's doing in the competition. So let me back up a little bit. So you know that there's a 1,000 of CVs that the HR receive, and from the 1,000 of CVs, 100 of CVs sent to the hiring manager for 1 or 2 position or 3 position maybe. It's very competitive, right? You know, and normal CV is normal, so we have to go through everything, which is okay, nothing wrong. But if you want to make yourself outstanding or different from others, I think this is the one that you have to tackle. One is about me. The other thing is about, you have to list out first. This is just my suggestion. You have to list out first, what are you doing in universities? So that's why it's really tied up back to what you are doing in universities. I think there is a question from one of you about what should you do in the during this PKPP time, or during this non-working time, or even throughout your student time. So like Huzairi, probably you still have a chance. You are second year, right? So as much as possible, you have to involve in a lot of different things, because we are looking at people that or students that really diverse, really having an extra curriculum, not only academic, because academic is it's all about the same, right? Now there's a lot of the good student. You can see that to see the student result 3.4, 3.3, 3.5, there's almost a lot of people student. How we want to differentiate that? So the differentiation will come from what you are doing in the universities. What are the position you are holding? What are the volunteering activity also? And also what we're looking also is, even is a volunteering job, not within the universities. If you have an outside job also, even during the semester break, you do the different job, you should put also, because that is accounted as your self-initiation, your experience to work. And the main thing what we want to see is, that is where you have an advantage on the communication. For example, if you have an experience working as a waitress or waiter, that is one of the best experience of communication, because you able to communicate with the customer, and you know how the language of communication. I mean, you have to take a chance. So that's why we're looking at a lot of the different things right now, especially the extra, because between 3.6 to 3.2 or 3.8, I think the skill is about the same on the academic. Nobody can argue that. But what you are doing is the one that we argue and we want to see, right? And especially in this PKPP time, if you are, so Hakimi, if you want to, you're graduate soon, if you apply for the job and if you got the interview, I'm pretty sure that you have the question about what do you do during the PKP time. So the company will ask you what do you do, because they want to look into what is the difference between you and others. Are you just a normal student that's sitting in front of the TV every day, watching YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook all the time, or you take an initiative to go volunteer? I mean, there's a lot of things. Helping the frontliner with the face mask, supplying there, or you take an online course, or you read a magazine, or you subscribe the Times, you subscribe all the technology about NASA or SpaceX. If you're really interested in the engineering, you should really know that about SpaceX, about the astronaut that we send out to the ISS right now. So there's a lot of things that we're looking, and general knowledge, what do you do, volunteering, extra curriculum, your positions, your contribution to the community. That is a part of the contribution or contributor right now for your outstanding CV and interview. You can scroll down a little bit, Huzairi, if you want to take a look. Yep, go another example. Yep. So if you see like this one, the field of interest, so they put the field of interest also, because that's where because sometimes the company, some of the big company, or some of the company, they just give a general mechanical engineering position, but actually they have a few position within their different group. Like mechanical engineering could be in the quality, could be in the operation, could be in the design. So you should put your field of interest also. But again, you have to make sure that you understand the job description. So you have to write the CV really close related to the job description. If the job description is all about the manufacturing or oil and gas, you should make sure that you put in your extracurricular, the first one, if you have a related, you should put the related first. So you should plan properly also, right? How you represent your CV. the first item, the project should be really relate to the job description. So you have to arrange your, I mean, it takes some effort, some more time for you to rearrange your CV every time, but it worth, because you cannot have a one CV and then send to every company the same. It's a normal. So the best is, if you know that company, if you know that job description of the company, you have to do a more research on the company. You have to make a little bit different adjustment, different for different company for your CV. And for the membership, really for engineering, I really hope you guys at least knows what engineering organization in Malaysia, like for example, IEM, Institute Engineers. You should know other organization in engineering also, MBOT or other stuff. So that you should have that knowledge also. Otherwise, you want to work as an engineer, but you never know there's an organization for engineering, right? If you see this one also, you see that this candidate also put the employment history, which is a waiter. Can you scroll down, Huzairi? You said that it's a waiter and also inventory taker. So which is really good in terms of the extra where he can speak really well what he's doing. So it's kind of another one of the factor to take our attention, right? So you need attention from the interviewer or from the company. Okay, so I think that's all about CV. So you have any question more, Hafizul Hakimi, or Zairi?
Uh,
Everything good, sir.
okay. I have one question about CV. From the criteria, if macam yang sebelum ni cakap, macam with the low academic results dan tapi aktif dalam curriculum, that means low academic result but we still have macam soft skill yang bagus, macam contoh presentation skill, software. Kita tahu macam nak guna software apa semua. So apa pandangan Transpeaker mengenai ini?
Of course, I think that that's really helps. I think that extra punya skill actually boleh little bit patching, help to close some of the loops hole yang result rendah kan, the low result. But again, as I mentioned, I mean that's really good. So you have to do that. You have to have that. So you semua kena ada tu. Kalau you know that you are in this low result, you should make sure that you top up with others a lot, extracurricular, join a lot of the different projects, but you make sure that you know what you're doing, because of at the end, as I mentioned just now, yang macam I informed just now, you have to have a different strategy, because of the main company probably is very difficult, even though you have like 100 of the different curricula, but the first filter from HR or from the system itself, right? They need some minimum result. So you have to have a different strategy, understand a different company, not go through the main company if you are at the low. But definitely, untuk answer your question, that question, yes, you should. If you have a lot of the curricular, it will help. Definitely boleh tolong. And that's what you need to rely on, because of the result is not really favorable, right?
Okay. So Jacqueline dan Hafizul, do you guys have any questions?
Doktor, saya ada soalan. How does a beautiful CV, a fancy CV affects the eyes of the HR? Because some people are selling their services of making fancy CVs for people, freelancers everywhere. So how does that affect, or it doesn't have any impact at all?
Yep. Yes, that's a good one. So, of course, how fancy is fancy is a question, right? And too fancy also is just too much to see from the HR or even from the hiring manager. It's just too much sometimes. But if what I understand from what you said, if you make a CV appeal more fancy or more things, definitely it will attract the individual or the HR or or hiring manager to see that CV. But of course, they will go through also certain things. For example, as I mentioned, for the hiring manager for engineering, they definitely will see what is your project contribution, what do you do, yeah, during the project that you do. So that kind of stuff, we still take a look that one, and that is the one that we will judge based on, not only the CV, but yes, it will attract the attention. Probably from the 20 CVs we put on the table, for example, because some of the officers still like to always to put on the table print, but most of the time now we just go through the from the computers, from the PDF. So yes, definitely it will catch the eyes, but not too fancy where it's just too burden to find the information. Kalau terlalu kompleks sangat kan, Kimi, macam that CV terlalu bunga sangat, and then terlalu banyak decoration pun, later I'm afraid that it's so difficult to find the information. So it's still not so good. Just a balance, yeah.
So it is okay lah kalau macam nak tambah macam ada background dia colour-colour sikit, nak bagi dia lagi tulisan tu lagi appealing. Because I'm thinking of making or providing my own service on freelance websites in making resume. So my concern is that really an advantage for people, for fresh grads especially?
Okay, so what I advise first is, because CV kalau you tengok a good CV, or you tengok, I think the main website lah, yang website yang main for the job finding, like JobStreet or also LinkedIn or any service, they have a proposal CV, which is quite a good one where most of the company using now. I just want to make sure that if you want to do that kind of stuff, you make sure that you are not divert too much, because otherwise it's not tally to the format anymore. There is not really a one way of format, but the format need to be really neat, and also you should follow what the trend now, because there's and there's out there a lot. I advise you have to take a look again all this kind of stuff before you add anything, because to us we need the information, but of course you should not do a coloring. So normally the CV should not be a colorful also, because that's not professional. So CV is more about represent yourself, how seriousness you are getting the job. So need to have an element of the professionalism, need to have an element of the maturity, need to have an element of the simple but yet compact with all the information. If you during my time, I think 10 or 20 years, 10 or 12 years ago, I think the CV is like 3 or 4 pages. Some people like have 10 pages because too many curricular activity, everything. But now the advice is only 2 pages. 1 page is the best, so that compress everything. But I know that sometimes 1 is not enough. But 2 is advisable, so that, but you have to compare everything. That's why if you see this sample of CV, you can see that there is a left column there with some of the about me and skill, and some of the salary expectation, whatever. On the right side is more about the detailed explanation. So there's a lot of the different ways right now, and that is a run by the expert, and also the the company that the HR company like the LinkedIn or JobStreet that doing that, I advise if you want to do that service, you make sure that you go through that, you learn, you see a lot of the example. Otherwise, I'm afraid that their CV might not be really effective compared to the normal one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Doctor, I have a question. Like normally companies, when they ask you to submit your resume or your CV, they will ask you to submit a cover letter too. Like what are the requirements for the company to expect from a cover letter?
Okay, that's a good point. Yep. Some company, and in fact, I think most of the company they asking the cover letter, and that cover letter is the one that I'm expecting this question actually. So that cover letter actually the one that let me okay, sorry. So that cover letter is the one that I want to highlight. There's three things in the cover letter that you really need to make sure you have that. First is you have to explain about sorry, so I back up a little bit. So the cover letter, first of all, you need to know the format. So I want to make sure that you go through a lot of the example format. You should have a format, right? Cover letters. That's a
Yes.
thing because they are really some of the companies really looking at the format so that they know that you are serious. So the cover letter, the function of the cover letter is to explain about yourself, why you're interested in this role, and what is your strength also. So the main thing in the cover letter you should have is objective. Why you want to apply? Why you apply this job? The objective of the and also explain about your suitness or your compatibility to the position that you apply for. That's a briefly about cover letters. It not need to be a long page or 3 pages or what. It should be a 1 page, and even the half page is more than enough.
Okay, thank you.
Also, thank you, one speaker. But can we still have one last question before we end our session? Okay. So the question comes from Muash Samsudin. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. I would like to ask about video resume. Does the engineering company in Malaysia look forward into it compared to normal resume? That's the question.
Okay, video resume means that you recorded the video and then you explain about yourself, right? Correct? Is that what I understand?
Yes. That's
Okay, it depends on the industry and the job description also, because if you are applying for the role of the brand communication engineering, for example, in some of the company, you are like a sales engineers. Some of the company they require that because they want to see um, how your figures and also how your charming or how you suit in the environment of the work, because some of the work require you to be in the videos all the time explaining, or you are a presenter of the company, or you're becoming a spokesman of the company. So it is not common. I don't. Sorry, I put that back. It is common to some industry, but in general for the normal engineering job, I don't it is not requirement. But I think if you apply online the system like JobStreet or the LinkedIn or anything, or even the company itself, there are a few optional that they ask if you have the video resume, so that you can represent. In that way also, actually they can see who you are and how you represent yourself.
okay. Thank you, Sir Speaker. Thank you, Tuan Speaker. Uh, so saya berharap apa yang kita telah kongsikan pada hari ini dapat dimanfaatkan, dan cuba kalau boleh kita cuba applykan apa yang kita dapat, ilmu yang kita dapat pada hari ini kita applykan dalam kita punya pembuatan resume para penonton sekalian. So sebelum akhiri kita punya live sharing talk hari ini, saya ingin berkongsi email tuan speaker kita Dr. Abdul Azim bin Abdul Rahman. Kalau macam yang anda boleh lihat dekat skrin yang saya okey, macam yang saya paparkan dalam skrin, jika ada sebarang persoalan atau pertanyaan selepas daripada live sharing talk kita pada hari ini, boleh emailkan persoalan anda ataupun pertanyaan anda kepada kita punya tuan speaker. Email seperti yang tertera. Okay, maybe we like to give something to not take note of the email. Okay, that's all for today.
Alright.
So,
Ya.
kita akhiri majlis dengan baca tasbih Ramadan dan surah Al-Alaq. Okey. Sekian untuk hari ini. Terima kasih kepada tuan speaker kerana meluangkan waktu untuk menghadiri, untuk menjadi speaker kepada program kami ni live sharing talk, the need of how to expect that. And terima kasih dan kita akhiri kita punya live sharing talk hari ini di sini. Terima kasih.
Sure, terima kasih. Hopefully semua dapat manfaat.